We get first look at Jordan this week. What do you expect from him?
Yeah, look, it's exciting. As I said last week, opportunity in JLT to give some guys a look. And look, it's his first game in. We won't put too high expectation on him, just give him an opportunity to play in the role that he's familiar with and he's been training in. So, yeah, exciting day.
Could there be a bit of a baptism by fire? I mean, given you're slightly undermanned with your main three midfielders under a cloud, is he a chance to be thrown in for round one? I mean, that's a pretty heavy initiation.
Well, let's see how he travels. As I said, it's about giving him the opportunity. You know, as Miles got last week, and he'll get another look again this week. So, but I don't rule anything out. We'll see how he performs and see how he fits in with the side.
What's his best attributes?
Jordan.
Yeah.
We recruit him as a high end talent with he's a powerful athlete. He's got good speed. His ball takes is at a high level. So that's certainly what we drafted him on. And we've seen that at training, so I look forward to seeing some of that on Sunday.
And Himmelberg and Jarman, what chance have they got of making the final 26?
Well, they're in the mix, and again, we'll talk about that this afternoon from a match committee viewpoint and see which way we want to go.
Has Ben been impressive in the time he's been at Adelaide?
He's done some bits and pieces which have certainly caught the eye. I mean, he's a natural footballer, and we've been working on him with a few other areas, but he's done some things which suggest that he knows how to play the game. But there's a reasonable step between where he was playing last year and AFL footy. So we'll see how we go when we finalise the team.
How about physically and fitness wise? How much has he got up to speed?
He's developing in that area, as all the young guys are. I mean, that's the reality when you take 18-year-old guys, who've been playing in basically underage comps, and you bring them up. Some are slightly more advanced than others. But it's always a stage of development for them to go through, and that's the introduction to weights programs, full-time training. The whole thing is a jump, and it's for Ben and for all of our first-year guys. Last
week was a bit of a chance to blow out the cobwebs. This week, do you expect a bit more of a step up?
In terms of the standard of game, look, last week was a great opportunity, as I said, for some guys who previously hadn't had significant game time to play. Not only this, obviously not this year, but from previous years. So. We'll continue to build. Our focus remains round one, and we'll select accordingly, and we'll plan accordingly, and we'll prepare, and we'll go and play. That ultimately is not going to change our view on what we want to do, which is all about round one.
Yeah, does that stand to reason that an increase in performance in building to round one is the signs you're looking for then?
Well, that's in each individual player. I mean, we talk to the players individually about what they need in terms of round one, in terms of both game time. Clearly, from a sides viewpoint, our focus has been on building those habits, and that's the reality of what we want to do. We want to continue to build good habits around how we play in the phases we've got, and that'll be no different this week, as I said, as a stepping stone to round one. Is it
an advantage then to come up against a Geelong, given that your first round, premiership favourites, so to speak, in the betting, a bit of a plus to get a tough side now?
Well, that's the draw. We play whoever, and Geelong obviously have had a good track record. They made the preliminary final last year. I haven't seen their side yet to know which sort of side they're bringing across, but it would suggest it's going to be a good test, which is what you want this time of the year, because you're trying to find out whether some of the things you've worked on, you've made the improvement that you hope you have. And even last week we were able to reflect on some real positives out of the game, and some things that again we learn and we work on and continue to get better. But as I said, our focus is very clear on round one and getting ready for round one.
So Don, you touched on things you want to do better from the Richmond game. What are the key areas in particular?
I probably won't go into too much detail of exactly those things. They're more in-house, but they're more tweaks of some of the things we've been working on over the pre-season. So I won't go into any detail really.
Were you pleased with some, obviously flexibility and contested ball have been significant areas you wanted to improve over summer? Have you seen an improvement in both of those at training and in games?
Well, I think the flexibility is one of just exposing some guys through those roles, and we did that last week, and we'll do that again this week, because that's going to be important for us, going into the season. But also, it gives us the greater, as I said, it's basically gives us that flexibility we're looking for, if you like, from guys who can play forward, mid, and back. From a contested ball, I think we just need to be really clear what it actually is. It's not purely about the midfield. It's as much about our forward line and our back line and winning those balls. So I think it's more generic than just saying it's a midfield issue.
Pyke, leading into round one with quite a few injuries, how are you feeling? Do you feel okay that you can cover that loss there?
Well, look, we're still on track, as I said last week. We're still on track, and we expect the majority of those guys to be available for round one. So we'll have Luke Brown come back in this week, who's be great to get him out, and he's got some game time. We expect he'll play JLT 3, and there's a number of guys will come back for JLT 3. So we're really comfortable where we're building, and we'll get ourselves ready for round one.
Which players won't at this point be able to play a pre-season game? Obviously, Sloane would be one. Is there anyone else? Do you think will Tomo get?
Tomo would be an outside chance at this point, but I don't want to go into too much detail in terms of look at every individual player on the list. I think from our viewpoint, we're confident those guys will be there or thereabouts for round one. As much as our focus now is on round one, we'll make sure that it's a long season, and we're going to make sure our players are ready to play and play. Not just play at the level, but perform. So we'll do that and take that into account before we start, trying to finalise round one side.
If someone doesn't play a pre-season game, such as those blokes, will they still be in strong contention for round one?
Possibly. That's going to really depend on the blend and mix of the team. And as I said, you will assess that on the totality of their pre-season versus those guys who are in the side. So, you'd probably be reluctant to play too many guys who've had not a less than ideal pre-season. But as I said, we're hopeful we'll get some guys out next week as well. And then we've also got another 2 weeks training before round one. So it will be fun.
With Cam Ellis-Shulman, was there any talk about, obviously, first of all, how disappointing for him and the club?
Well, that's a significant disappointment. It was a pretty innocuous event as well, which was surprising when the news came through on Monday night. But really disappointing and sad for Cam. I mean, he's a guy who last year didn't get opportunities through just the fact that we had a pretty settled lineup, and he was really hell-bent on a really big season. So it was pretty devastating to find out he's going to miss a whole year, and that's footy. He's dealing with that now. He's in a really positive mind frame, and he'll attack his rehab and his recovery and build on a career. He's only a young man, so it's a setback, but I expect him to bounce back.
Was there any thought of the Lars surgery or?
No, it's hard for me to go on the medical side. I don't think it was really considered. I think they were looking at it as a traditional.
With Sauce copping a knock in the back last weekend, is he 100% fit and ready to go?
Yeah, Sauce trained this morning. We'll see how he pulls up, but I'd expect on the basis of what I saw today, he'll be fine.
With Cam's out of contract end of the year, where's that leave him now, this situation?
We'll cover off on that later, to be honest. I mean, right now he's boy and guy. He's dealing with a knee reconstruction coming at him pretty fast, and so we'll support him through that, and we'll make those decisions in due course.
How's Mitch?
Yeah, again, I sort of want to avoid going into every individual player. Otherwise, we end up sort of going, might as well get our medical staff and our physios in here and talk through it. He'll be fine. It's a slight knock, and I'd expect he'll be absolutely fine for JLT 3.
So no McGovern, no Betts and Jenkins are being rested, having looked at your squad. So do we see with 3 key players in your forward line, I guess we're going to see a different forward line?
Yeah, there'll be a different mix, and that's all part of it. That's what this series is about. We're preparing for round one, but we're also preparing for opportunities for guys, and we've got some guys who have earned their opportunities. They've worked hard through pre-season, and I'm really excited about what they can bring to the table. I mean, there's some guys who we may not have seen before, which is fantastic for them, and it's fantastic for the club because out of all those, I'll guarantee you we'll find a couple of diamonds sitting out there that we think can play at the level, and we'll put their hand up to do it. So that's what the series is about.
So who moves forward this week? What would your forward 6 look like?
I'm not going to go into sort of match committee entry, to be honest. We'll finalise that later today.
Yeah, but a couple of guys you can play up there that normally wouldn't get a crack out of that, given those 3 are out.
We've got some options to them. We may go with a slightly different looking forward line. So.
Good news for Jake Lever eyeing off a return next weekend.
Yeah, so he's tracking along nicely. As I said, we'll get ourselves ready next week after this week.